Hi guys, this is English with Hamad Raja. Welcome to this channel. And today we're going to talk about related to directed writing and specifically persuasive writing techniques because we are dealing today with persuasive writing. Normally, these persuasive writing techniques are used in directed writing, for example, report writing, letter writing, article writing, journal writing. So that's why I picked up this one. So today we'll talk about persuasive writing techniques. How to persuade someone to convince them in order to get good marks. Normally, as a candidate, we are aiming towards the examiner. So examiner will be convinced with the help of our techniques which we use in this writing. Anyways, so the first thing that we are dealing with is a right forest technique. This is actually an acronym. It's not a word here. So I have divided it into different numbers. So we'll discuss one by one what it actually means. So A is alliteration. Some of the teachers are saying it's an alliteration and some of them says anecdote. I would go with the anecdote, but it's up to you how you use it. So alliteration is repetition of first letter at the beginning of a word. So you are implying an alliteration in your letter, in your report, in your article, in your journal in order to be more persuasive. So alliteration is sea, cells, sea, shells. And then anecdote is actually a personal story. You are narrating a personal story. Now, why it is important? Because you are trying to hook the attention of your reader, right? And in this case, the reader is actually your examiner. So, for example, if I'm saying, last night, I accidentally locked myself in a room. So what happened is, once you're going to narrate this story, so everybody is now paying attention. Everybody is saying what happened afterward because you have already introduced something. It's a kind of mysterious, it's a kind of persuasive, it's kind of hooking the attention of your candidate. So you are actually narrating that story. Now, the next thing is this R. R is rhetorical question. And this device is actually overly used by the students. But I would recommend you to use it bare minimum with where it is required. So rhetorical question is actually a question that does not require an answer. Why? Because you're trying to use it for the sake of emphasis. So here, for example, this question is here, isn't the sky blue? So itself, this question is answering, right? So there is no need to answer the question. It is just for the sake of emphasis. So you are implying this technique in order to make more emphasis on your point. The next one is I. I is imperative. Now, so you use this imperative in your writing in order to be again persuasive. Now, for example, don't be late. Heat your food at 50 degrees or maybe 45 degrees. Why? Because that's actually a command. You're giving a command in order to show more emphasis. Now, next is pronouns, and most of the time these are personal pronouns. Why we use these personal pronouns? For example, I, we, our, us. These are just for the sake of to include ourselves into that. We are, right? We all know that this is impossible. So you are including yourself with that group in order to show your presence into that. So it makes more acceptable. That's how you work with these personal pronouns. Now, moving further with this E. E is emotive language. Now, emotive language is one of the technique that is rigorously used in our writing. Why? Because we are trying to invoke emotion in our reader. So here, the innocent child was starving to death. So the word innocent itself is invoking emotion, then starving itself is invoking emotion, and then death. So these are some of the words which show some emotions. It brings emotion to your reader. So you are implying these things in your writing in order to be more persuasive, in order to be more convincing. Now the next is F. F stands for facts. So whatever you are introducing in your writing, you need to imply this. Why? Because that is actually verifiable. It is 100% true. For example, now if you're exercising, obviously you will have a healthy life, right? It is a proven fact. So this is a fact and it can be proved. So you need to use that sentence, you need to use that information that shows that it is verifiable. So here exercise helps you to maintain a healthy life. This is actually something verifiable, so you need to use it in your writing. Let's move on to the next one. After that we are dealing with O. O is opinion. So you're giving your opinion in order to be more authentic on your ideas. So you're giving your opinion. For example, if you're saying that if you are doing something and in that particular doing you are giving your opinion, I think online learning is very rewarding. So this is your opinion, I think, and it is very rewarding, right? You're giving your opinion in order to be more authentic, in order to be more relevant to that particular writing. Next is or repetition. Why we repeat in our sentences? In order to make emphasis on our points, right? In order to show that we actually mean it. So you are repeating the same idea. He drives to work, right? Same word is being repeated. So you are trying to show more emphasis, more authentic, in order to show more convincing power here. Then comes E. E is exaggeration. So you exaggerate the thing in order to show on a larger scale. For example, now if you're telling someone million times, that is not actually true, but you are trying to be more persuasive. So you think that you're going to include this in your writing. It will help you. I've told you a million times. Of course, it's not true, but at least you're exaggerating. You might have done that maybe once, twice, or maybe thrice, but it's not possible to do that million times. But you have done this just to show that exaggeration. Now comes the S part. S stands for statistics. You are providing, for example, in a report writing, you are providing facts and figures, and you need to provide the statistics. So, for example, 10%, 12%, or maybe 90% people are of the opinion that this is true or this is not true. So this is statistics. It is verifiable. So you are providing the data according to the available data, right? So it depends upon the number, right? 10% of people are very busy, they're early birds. So it is basically showing that statistics. Now, the last one, triplets. Triplets is actually reoccurring the adjectives in a sentence, and it is reoccurring why you are trying to show emphasis again. For example, here, traffic. A traffic could be messy, it is appalling, and it could be time consuming. So you are using all these three adjectives in a sentence in order to show or maybe you're trying to make your point very elaborative one, or maybe the one where you want that it should not be ignored. So traffic is messy, appalling, and time consuming. So a right forest technique, it's used here in our directed writing, right, in order to be more authentic. And this technique is actually used to get good marks for the sake of style of writing, quality of writing. So if you're employing this technique, a right force technique in your writing, you will actually get good marks. So how? So our marks are divided based upon the content and quality of writing. Now, content is coming from the given text, so it doesn't matter here, but quality does matter. Why? Because once you show that you have command on the language, that's how you're going to score good marks and the quality of writing. So this is a way to score good marks. Apply this technique, a right forest technique, in your directed writing in order to score in quality of writing. So if you want to learn more, stick around with this channel, like, subscribe and share, and have a good one.